Buffet was once a paradise in the eyes of many people. Pay a fixed price and eat as much as you want. But in reality, not every chain deserves it. In some places that were once glorious have now turned into a nightmare for diners. And luckily, there are still a few brands that maintain their quality so you can feel safe coming back. Buffet chains you should avoid. 1. Golden Corral, faded beautiful memories. Golden Corral used to be a buffet paradise familiar to millions of American families. Many people still remember their childhood memories with trays of crispy golden fried chicken, mashed potatoes piled high like mountains, and the shimmering chocolate fountain that made kids cheer with delight. In its golden years, dining at Golden Corral was a special occasion where everyone felt pampered because they could pick anything they wanted. However, today, that image is just a memory. Walking into Golden Corral now, many diners immediately notice the difference. The atmosphere is chaotic, dishes, clattering kids running wildly through the aisles, while the food trays seem to have sat under heat lamps for too long. The fried chicken, once an icon, is now often just lukewarm with a soft, greasy crust. The macaroni and cheese that used to be rich is now watery and bland, while the dessert bar tastes dull no better than cheap frozen goods. The cause is said to be Golden Corral's overly rapid expansion across America. As the number of locations skyrocketed, quality became harder to control. Many former employees admitted that food was no longer prepared on site, but mostly delivered pre-made, frozen, and reheated. The cozy home-cooked feeling that once built the brand has been replaced with factory-like industrialization. Even though they still advertise as a cheap feast, more and more customers feel they are paying more and getting less. What was once considered a family reward meal now leaves many walking away disappointed. Golden Corral, once a symbol of American buffets, has become a prime example of decline when quality is sacrificed for quantity. The question is, do you still want to give Golden Corral another chance, or are you ready to cross it off your list? 2. CiCi's Pizza Buffet, Children's Heaven, Adults' Nightmare. CiCi's Pizza Buffet was once seen by many families as a budget-friendly option for lively evenings. The idea sounded very appealing: pay a small fee and eat unlimited pizza, pasta, breadsticks, and even sweet dessert pizzas. For kids, it was nothing short of heaven, as they could try all sorts of quirky flavors from taco pizza to mac and cheese pizza, and even pies topped with cream and candy sprinkles. But in reality, the experience left many adults disappointed. The crust was often thin and bland. The cheese lacked richness and felt rubbery like plastic, and the toppings were so sparse that some slices were almost bare. Instead of piping hot stringy pizzas straight from the oven, diners usually found slices that had sat under heat lamps too long, cold, and unappealing. The atmosphere in the restaurant was also an issue. The dining room was often noisy and chaotic, with food trays replenished constantly, but rarely fresh or hot. For kids, this might have been a joyful playground, but for adults, it was a messy, tasteless, rushed meal. The biggest plus for CiCi's was the low price. With such affordability, many families could fill up their kids without worrying about the bill breaking the budget. However, the trade-off was that quality was almost never prioritized. Adults, after a few visits, often realized that one quality slice from a reputable pizzeria could be worth more than a dozen slices here. The question is, are you willing to trade quality for all you can eat, or is just one good slice of pizza enough for you? 3. Ponderosa Steakhouse, frozen steak disguised as luxury. Ponderosa Steakhouse was once seen as a unique mix between a high-end steakhouse and a family buffet. For a single price, customers could order a steak while also enjoying the buffet with plenty of sides and desserts. For years, this had strong appeal, making Ponderosa an ideal place for family dinners or birthday parties. But over time, that charm faded. The steak expected to be the star of the meal often disappointed. Instead of hot, juicy cuts, customers frequently received frozen steaks overcooked dry and lacking natural flavor. With the main dish failing, the buffet couldn't make up for it either. The mashed potatoes tasted like powder instead of fresh potatoes, vegetables were cooked into mush, and the bread was as hard as if it had been left out overnight. It wasn't just the food. Presentation also discouraged diners. A buffet thrives on freshness and appeal at first sight, but at Ponderosa, many trays had crusty edges, sauces thickened like glue, and the dessert bar looked more like leftover cafeteria food than luxury sweets. Such images left many customers walking away disappointed. Ponderosa lost its appeal as newer buffet chains emerged with fresher menus, greater variety, and trendier offerings. While competitors experimented with international dishes and focused on quality ingredients, Ponderosa stuck with its outdated style. The result was that many locations shut down one after another, leaving behind only a brand surviving in memory. The question is, did you ever go to Ponderosa and feel satisfied, or do you only remember it as a cafeteria disguised as luxury? 4. Western Sizzlin, a misleading name. Western Sizzlin once promised a true char-grilled steak experience. Just the name evoked images of sizzling, steaming cuts fresh off glowing charcoal, yet in reality many customers left disappointed. What they got was often dry, overcooked meat with almost no flavor left. When the dish tied to the brand's name failed, everything else felt meaningless. The buffet, which could have salvaged the experience, only made things worse. Fried foods weren't crispy, but greasy vegetables were mushy, and bread was so hard, many joked it was like chewing cardboard. The dessert bar was equally unimpressive, with most items being reheated frozen products. Customers came in hoping for sizzling steak, but left feeling like they had eaten an industrial meal without care. The main reason lay in management. When ownership changed hands, the focus shifted from quality to cost cutting just to keep the doors open. Gradually, the cowboy pride in the name disappeared, leaving behind a bland buffet chain indistinguishable from dozens of mid-tier competitors. Western Sizzlin still lingers in some small towns where locals have few dining options, but compared to the general market, it has lost its essence. The question is, when you hear sizzling steak, do you picture a smoking hot cut of meat, or do you immediately think of dry slices under heat lamps? 5. Old Country Buffet, the broken American dream. Old Country Buffet was once the symbol of the American dream of a true family meal, crispy fried chicken, freshly baked bread, a dining room filled with laughter and chatter. Every Sunday, millions of families flocked here to enjoy the warmth and abundance that a buffet could bring. But then the signs of decline appeared. In its later years, customers no longer saw trays piled high with food, but instead half-empty cold pans. Mashed potatoes no longer carried that grandma's recipe taste, but were just watery powder. Meats were dry and shriveled after hours under the heat lamps. Even the dessert bar, once the highlight for children, turned monotonous and industrial. On top of that came competition from newer chains with more options and a stronger focus on quality. While customers grew more demanding, Old Country Buffet stood still. As a result, the chain quickly fell into crisis and was forced to shut down en masse. From a brand once widespread across America, Old Country Buffet suddenly vanished from the food map, leaving behind disappointment and nostalgia for many. The question for you is, Old Country Buffet still a sweet childhood memory, or just a prime example of a brand that failed to change in order to survive? 6. Hometown Buffet, friendly but bland. Hometown Buffet was once known as a friendly buffet chain close to the community. It was the place where families gathered after church, where seniors enjoyed discounts, and kids eagerly piled their trays with pasta pizza or soft serve ice cream. In many people's memories, Hometown Buffet was part of childhood tied to birthday parties and simple family nights. However, over time, that friendliness was replaced with blandness. The salad bar, once a highlight, was now full of wilted greens lacking freshness. The familiar fried chicken was often just lukewarm, missing the crunch that diners expected. The side dishes, meant to add variety, often tasted like they had been reheated again and again. Instead of being appetizing, Hometown Buffet made customers feel like they were eating leftovers that hadn't yet been put away. The atmosphere of the restaurant also lost its vitality. Where once the room was full of laughter kids running around with ice cream cones in hand, now the dining hall felt empty and gloomy. With growing competition from new buffet chains and sit-down restaurants at similar prices, Hometown Buffet quickly fell behind. Today, most of its locations have closed, surviving only in the nostalgic memories of those who once loved it. It was once a warm community stop, but ultimately could not keep its place in a changing market. The question: if Hometown Buffet still existed, would you want to return just to relive old memories, or would you choose a place that truly delivers a satisfying meal? 7. Ryan's Buffet, the failure of Southern comfort food. Ryan's Buffet was once a bright name in the South and Midwest of America. where customers came to enjoy home-style comfort food like crispy fried chicken, fragrant cornbread, and juicy roasted beef. With affordable prices and generous portions, Ryan's gave many families a sense of fullness and satisfaction. But everything gradually changed when the brand was taken over by big corporations. The focus was no longer on quality and warmth in every dish, but on cost-cutting and menu standardization. As a result, Ryan's lost its identity. The beloved dishes turned bland and careless. The menu was shortened, leaving diners feeling limited and repetitive. Service also declined noticeably. Instead of a cozy, friendly vibe, many locations felt tired and cold. Some once loyal customers even said Ryan's went from being the pride of Southern comfort food to a buffet chain without a soul. When the food was no longer tasty, the atmosphere no longer lively, and the experience no longer memorable, loyalty vanished quickly. Today, most Ryan's buffet locations have shut down. The few remaining exist only as shadows, reminding people more of regret for a once beloved brand than as an appealing dining spot. The question, do you still remember Ryan's Buffet for its rich flavors of the past, or only for the final disappointing years before it disappeared? 8. Sizzler. Hovering then fading away. Sizzler was once seen as a two-in-one dream, both a stylish steakhouse with sizzling hot steaks and an affordable buffet with unlimited salad, pasta, and desserts. The message of luxury within reach made many families see it as the perfect choice for special evenings. Without spending too much, diners still felt like they were enjoying the whole world of food in one place. But reality drifted further from the ads. The steak, supposedly the star, often disappointed. Instead of juicy, flavorful cuts, many guests received dry, overcooked steaks lacking care. The buffet wasn't any better. The salad bar, once varied, shrank to a few wilted greens with bland dressings. Pasta was clumpy, and the sauces tasted like canned industry products. Even the dessert station, meant to bring joy at the end of a meal, became dull and uninspiring. What drove Sizzler into trouble was not only the poor food quality, but also its unclear identity. The chain never decided whether it was a high-end steakhouse or a mass-market buffet. While competitors focused on one side and became experts, Sizzler was stuck in the middle. And in the food world, being average is rarely enough to keep customers. Along with cost-cutting measures from corporate owners, many Sizzler locations quickly declined in both flavor and service. Once loyal guests slowly turned away, and the chain lost its shine. Today, Sizzler still exists in a few places, but only as a nostalgic name no longer strong enough to compete in a fierce market. The question: do you remember Sizzler as the place that offered a luxury within reach experience, or only for its half-hearted and disappointing meals? 2 chains still safe to eat. 1. Shoney's Fresh Food Bar. Staying true to tradition, Shoney's doesn't chase the trend of giant buffets or fancy dishes meant only to impress for the moment. Instead, they stick to the formula that made them successful: simple, familiar, and consistent food. Walk into a Shoney's location and you'll see a food bar that isn't flashy, but every dish brings the comforting feeling of a home-cooked meal. Breakfast at Shoney's is especially famous. Many customers say they come just to start the day with trays of golden scrambled eggs, crispy bacon, tall stacks of pancakes drenched in sweet syrup, and warm, soft biscuits with rich gravy. Everything is prepared carefully, not complicated, but tasty enough to make diners smile. By lunch or dinner, Shoney's still sticks to traditional comfort food: hot, crispy fried chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, fresh green salad, and small desserts that remind you of family flavors. Older guests love Shoney's for the feeling of eating at home, while younger ones see it as a reliable place when they don't want to gamble on low-quality buffet chains. That very consistency has kept Shoney's alive while many others have disappeared. 2. Pizza Ranch Buffet. Thriving on true quality. Pizza Ranch proves that a buffet chain can succeed long-term if it chooses the right strengths and fully commits to quality. While many brands chase dozens of different items, Pizza Ranch focuses only on pizza and fried chicken, but does them really well. At any Pizza Ranch location in the Midwest, you'll find an atmosphere like a community hall. Churchgoers, students after basketball practice, or whole families gather, not just to eat, but to connect. As for the food, the fried chicken is crunchy, juicy, and perfectly seasoned, often praised as tastier than at many other buffet chains. The pizzas are hot with generous toppings, from pepperoni sausage and veggies to specialty pies. all carrying a fresh flavor never industrial. But the real star is the dessert pizza topped with cinnamon and sugar drizzled with sweet icing. Kids see it as a treat while adults feel like they're reliving childhood. Another big plus is the warm atmosphere. Pizza Ranch isn't just a place to eat, it's a part of community life. That sense of connection sets Pizza Ranch apart and keeps customers coming back for years. Buffets are often where quality gets lost in the chase for quantity, but Shoney's and Pizza Ranch show that by sticking to simple dishes, preparing them with care, and keeping things familiar, a buffet chain can still win the loyalty of generations. So, which kind of buffet do you choose? One where you eat a lot but leave disappointed, or one with just a few dishes done right enough to make you come back again?